Okay. Oh my god, this Yeti mic is so loud. Sorry, that probably was really loud. Okay, hello and welcome back to another live paint and chat, hanging out. Good to see you guys. Happy Wednesday. It's February 10th, and we're just gonna get back to roots here and just do some normal painting. I've had a busy week of streams by having one other this last week. 4.5, almost 5-hour stream of the Iron Kingdoms RPG. So glorious. So definitely check that out if you haven't, but you might break it out in sections because it is long. So let me say hi to everybody in the chat, and hopefully everything is working right here. Whew. All right, so welcome War Budgies, appreciate you being here, and Samuel and Paul, thank you as always for being my moderator. You hear the cat in the background just doing her thing. Let's see here. Adeptus Ridiculous, thank you for being here. It's good to see you. Todd, welcome. Dawn Jory, hello. Christian, how are you doing? Glad that you're here. Okay, so I am working tonight on this Greylord Forge Seer. He is a very, very large model. He's a 40mm. He's part of the Khadoran army. That's his gray look. This is, oops, this is me being very careful with him. This is what he looks like all painted up and fancy. So you can tell that there's this extra separate cape piece. And while I'm not really a fan of doing sub-assemblies, I'm basically gonna have to do that because he's just got too much to him to just go painting in one go. So that's what I'm working on. What are you guys working on? Yeah, KRPG was a fun stream to watch. Oh, you watched it, Christian. Thank you so much. Yeah, it would have been fun if we could have checked out more with like some of the Steam Jacks or Steam Jacks and stuff. But you know, there's only so much information out right now, and you could still get a sense of the world. And it was interesting that he chose the like the cephalics to introduce to new players. And yeah, I had fun with it, and I think everybody else did too. DM Scotty was delightful, and then of course Aaron and Dan are wonderful. So first time I got to hang out with Dan in months, so it was also a great excuse for that. And I'm very proud of myself. I remembered to actually clean my little dollar store palette, so you know, you're welcome. And this is something Privateer had sent to me before Valhalla list last year, because they actually did some support for people attending. So there were like some gifts that were handed out. They gave some brushes, and this is sort of like a mixing palette. So I don't know. I'm gonna try it. We'll see how far I get. It's just this squishy silicone, so it's kind of fun to just squish and play with. But anyway, that's how I'm gonna attempt to mix colors tonight. So I've got 2 palettes and my little Greylord dude. And we're just really starting from the beginning with him. Whew. So yes. Good morning, Vietnam. Oh my goodness. Depth is ridiculous. Where have you been? That's some cape dude, right? I mean, it's beautiful. Like, look, the amount of filigree on any of the Greylords in the Iron King, in just Khador, are just stunning. Like, they've got such beautiful, you can tell that's the rank. That's the Greylord rank in the military, which is a little bit apart from the actual military structure. And then all sorts of runes. They're always searching for like Orgoth ruins and anything that can sort of help increase the amount of influence and power they have. And so he's got his axe as well. Like, obviously a lot of arcane technology, you know, arcane mechanics, but like his face is deep in there, right? Little Santa Claus, angry Santa Claus inside of all of that armor, hence speed 4, as you could guess. Alfonso the Trader, hello and welcome. All right, so what have we got here? I'm painting some kobolds to look like Power Rangers. Well, that's fun. That's a new take. I'm working on Devil Shadow Mutineers, and then it's an Earthbreaker. Very nice, Austin. Lots of samurai. Oh my goodness, so much more. Oop, I've already lost track of the chat. Oh my gosh. War Budgies is painting some Protectorate up. I hope you got some good response to that hilarious Deathjack videos. War Budgies put out this hilarious video on like you do not mess with Deathjack. I think they should have had that up on the Kickstarter page, but you know, that's just my opinion. Hey there, Travis, how you doing? I'm just gonna say that. I'm really bad at saying your username, I'm sorry. Thank you, Adeptus. Ridiculous. Seems to paint everything. Oh, Samuel, I seem to paint everything in sub-assemblies nowadays. Well, I've been kind of picking smaller models, so I've been avoiding that, but yeah, this guy's just too big, so. Donald, I have Iron Kingdoms Unleashed and Undercity minis to paint on my Twitch channel. Oh, sweet. Very cool. Are you painting like the Undercity box set? Oh, what is it? Colby Sterling's group of people. The Black River Irregulars. That's the one. Viper Ta, welcome. A rubbery mixing palette with small grooves. Yes! We're gonna see how that works. Apparently it's really cool for like mixing paints, and you know, it's a silicone, so you're not losing moisture. It's not gonna dry. There you go. He used it for holding super glue. Alfonso knows what it's used for. I'm not using it for holding super glue. So much love on the cape. Hey Patrick, good to see you, man. Currently painting Blood Angel Death Company dudes. Oh goodness. I just want to play more Requiem. Oh, I know, Travis. The game looks so fun. And it looks like, well, I haven't checked it in the last several hours, but I believe they're over 500,000, so hopefully that's like a good message, like, hey, this is awesome. People are so excited. It's a great miniature, certainly around GW quality standard. Yeah, no, this is one of the newer Greylords, because he's all plastic, so this isn't a metal. And then the Greylords, they were newer anyway, so I think they were all plastic anyway, but these look great. You should see like Bloody Barnabas, and some of those models are just absolutely stunning. Way up there with GW for sure. Should be easy to get acrylic paint off when it's squishy. I know. I had to actually scrub this little thing. I'm pretty sure I hadn't washed it in months, so yeah. How did you get your plastic palette so clean? I tried isopropyl alcohol in a kitchen scrubber on mine and it's still stained with acrylics. Well, I don't know what kind. It probably has to do with the type of plastic, right? Because this is just literally like a pack of 5 came from the dollar store on this. And so for the most part, you can just scrape any of the paint out with your nail and it just comes right off. So this cleaned up really easy for me. I took a letter opener and just, you know, gouged it out because I'm really gentle. And then I just scrubbed the rest with like, what is it? One of those sponges with the scrubby side and some soap. And it all came off. Just heard your cat that needs praising. Ugh. She just likes attention. I don't know where she gets that from. Hey Tree Raven, thank you, appreciate that. I love all or mostly all Iron Kingdoms Privateer Press minis. Well, they didn't really have a whole lot of Iron Kingdoms minis. Like there were a few you could get in there, but I'm really wanting to see like townsfolk, and I'm wanting to see like the little diminutive creatures that are living in the world as opposed to just fighter characters. That's the future I'm hoping for in the IKRPG. And Donald, yeah, it's the box setup, Black River Irregulars. I plan to not paint the bases, so I still have the colors for functionality in the game. Nice. Sponge with scrubbies. I call it a Scotch sponge. It might be. I can't remember. These are fancy names for things that don't stick in my head. So anyway, we're gonna start here. Again, here's sort of like the general picture of him. He's got a lot of red on him. I don't know if I necessarily want to go doing all that, but he's got a gray cape, which is kind of interesting. So we could try starting. Well, we might wait. I don't know if I'm ready for all that cape business. It's too much. So right now we're just going to be painting a whole lot of brown because the red is going to go over the brown and the gold is also going to go over the brown. But you know what? I've got my new favorite brown, which is, hold please, there it is, Blood Tracker Brown. So this is my new favorite undercoat for anything that I'm going to put my red over or gold over, and I've been very pleased with that. So you're just basically gonna watch me paint brown for a little while. There we go. Get my brushes ready to go. Sponge with a scrubby side. Sounds like a song lyric. I know. I haven't slept a whole lot this last week, so, you know, names and things and dates and locations or basic hand and eye coordination have not been my strong suit this week. Yeah. A lot of stuff cakes around these rims, I've noticed. Oh well. Let's see, so let's just get in there, shall we? Don't really need to blob that on. Give us an IK fashion guide. Ooh! That's a great idea, actually. I think that would be super fun. Because obviously there's like, you could take a lot of different influences, because you'd think like Civil War era kind of stuff, but then you can, okay, these are all his shoulder pads, it's that, so we'll just start on his chest here. But you know, it's still an age of like outhouses and not a whole lot of running water. Maybe some of Signar has running water. Doubtful though. Let's see, there'll no doubt be some sick conversations for Requiem player characters. Oh my gosh, I know, right? Let's see. Oh joy, loads of brown. Any chance of using some purple? We'll see. We'll just really have to see on that. What's with you guys in purple? You're looking a lot better now. So you kicked COVID in the butt? I did. I didn't really even feel all that bad for it. And apparently I gave it to nobody. Everybody around me who had been around me tested and they were all negative. So that was some good news. But of course I've had to make, you know, off-color jokes about it, how I can't even give it to any of my friends and no one wants anything I have to give, but in this case it's a good thing, right? So yeah, I kicked it. I mostly have, let me see, I've got my sense of taste pretty well back, and my sense of smell is back, but it's still like improving, so that's the only thing that's kind of just coming back. But take your vitamins, kids, because I think that is at least helping on the recovery end. Lots of brown. Alright, so that's all gold. He's mostly gold and brown. He's just a very, very proud character. So the Greylords are also ridiculously gaudy. Almost as much as the Kayazi. Possibly more, but the Kayazi definitely make a point to be like dressed to the nines all the time. Lots of gold and red. I imagine the general population isn't wearing so much of that stuff. You're probably going to see a lot more grays, blacks, maybe some greens, especially for those living in the rural areas because, you know, blend better, it's more camouflaged. Red is a proud color and not necessarily a great color for camouflaging yourself, turns out. Why do you disagree with everything I say? Any models you guys wish they added to the character add-ons? Probably. Let me think about that. Because we got the Witchwood. I think the Wold Warden was one of the recent ones to be added. What all did they add? A bunch of characters. Twilight Sisters were in there. That's a good question, Patrick. I think, like, I know a lot of people are probably going to want to see more of the Unleashed type of characters, but I feel like that's just going to be like a new campaign that they do. So you have to wait on that, even though you're getting some stuff with like the Wold Warden and even the Twilight Sisters, because they are Grimkin models. Words. Those pesky things. So this is me getting my base coat into everywhere so that I don't have any gray. Even if the color changes later, I'd rather have some sort of color in there than just the gray from the primer. It always looks off. Miranda's telling us to do drugs. What? Who said that? Oh, everyone can't stay. I'm a bit under the weather. Oh no, Bills, I hope you are all right, man. Paul, I think all my leather is Citadel Deathclaw Brown because of Fallout. I like how she's painting Mr. Santa Claus. He's like an angry Santa Claus. And he's FA too, so he can't be the Santa Claus, right? Like if you can have two of them. Unless that is how he always delivers all of his presents all over the world. Two of them would make a lot more sense. Vitamins. What? They're good for you. I hope they get the bits shop back up and running, I imagine. They make a killing in bits. Oh, I didn't know it was down. Iron Kingdom's 29 hours to go. Yeah, they're gonna do great. So good on them. Let's see, get some more brown in here. So I don't know. We'll see what comes of it. It's definitely helped encourage me to get back on some of my projects, because I do still have an entire IKRPG campaign that I recorded with a freaking amazing cast, so they are probably wondering where that show is. I know some of them ask me every week, but it's coming, I promise. I just need to make sure it comes out right, because it's gotta be awesome. And one of the things that's always been tricky about the Iron Kingdoms RPG is trying to convey to people what the world actually looks like, because there's, thanks to D&D, which is both good and bad, there's just a very strong assumption about what all fantasy looks like. And this isn't it, so you gotta do what you can to change the expectation, which requires a lot of visuals. Takes a long time. Alright, so he's got some middle hands. That's easy enough. Get some brown on here. If I had more Grimkin, I want a Skin and Moans. Slaughterhouse is coming up as a stretch goal. Are you serious? What the hell are you supposed to do as a slaughterhouse on your campaign? These must be for all kinds of higher level stuff. Like, one of the questions that comes up, right, is like, what level are the warcasters you see in the world? Like, what's max level? What's the paragon character in the IKRPG? Because I'm trying to, I think it was like level, was it 50 or 100 in the old game, before you could really be that high-fiving. And it's like, those are the things facing slaughterhouses and such. It just seems like such endgame material to me. Santa Claus used to wear purple. Okay. Oh, I was referring to models to buy for creating your characters. As far as the Monsternomicon entries, they probably could never include everything I could want. That's fair. Nice. I don't know. Like, I'd have to I've modified some characters, and I can't show them to you yet because they're part of the show. But like, you can do a lot with what is already out there. Don't need to overcommit with models, in my opinion. Just release the books and swim in the extra money cushion. Fair. Miranda preference, GM or player? Like, for me, well, it's super fun playing the game because you get to just sit there and explore it and, you know, try not to give your GM too hard a time, but you get to just explore the world, whereas as a GM, it's also fun, but there's so much more, like, demanded of you in the moment. You've really got to be on, and you've got to be able to improvise quickly. So I've enjoyed them both. I definitely have a lot more experience being a player than being a GM, but for the show I am the GM the whole time, so I can't say I don't like it because it was fun. And I guess, not to do the cop-out answer, but it is probably true. Like, your group really makes or breaks that experience. If you've got a terrible GM, then your experience as a player probably is not so fun. And if you've got a terrible group of players that just want to be awful, poor Aaron, then being a GM probably is super unfun. So, you know, just, it depends. Am I even getting this on camera? Sorry, I've been like staring at this image. Yeah, doing fine. Doing fine. Let's see, what else we got here? Cast and crew is amazing, it really is. I would make a list of enemies using War Room app. It was super simple. And it was super simple to convert. Nice. Does anyone know why GW dropped their Warhammer Apocalypse game? Their miniature boxes for that game are awesome. I don't know, because I ended up getting the Apocalypse game box, but I never played it, and so I wonder if it just was sort of a lack of support for it from the player side. Oh, my cat meows for fun. She just is bored. Runs around demanding I entertain her. Hence my ignoring her now. It's always a battle of wills, a little bit. I found art on the Kickstarter page of a dragon attacking a train. I couldn't hold myself together. I don't know why that's not used for advertising. It is definitely one of the coolest pictures they have. And that is from an event, I believe, that happened. And I think that's one of Torok's sons. We've never seen Torok, the actual dragon father, like alive and around, to my knowledge, to date. So it's always going to be like some other dragon spawn, because dragons in this world are no joke. Like, you see a dragon and it's bad times. Jeez, cat, what? What is so wrong in this world right now? All right, come here. This is who I'm talking to. Do you see? Do you see all the peoples? No, you don't. Because you don't know how this whole thing works. There you go. See? Are you happy? Are you happy now? You got to sit there and yowl. This is what I'm working on. Super interesting, right? This is what she sat and harassed me for, so she could be super uninterested. Come here, you little brat. Mostly she just wants attention. Because she's getting older. I think she'll be 14 this year. So she's slowly getting needier. But I don't think she understands she's actually getting needier. She just doesn't understand why I'm just not there all the time. So there you go. Let's see. I do find it funny how well the Kickstarter did. I think one of PP's fears was that the tabletop RPGs were not profitable enough. I mean, I don't know what market research you necessarily do on that, but the RPGs are a bigger share of the market, I'm pretty sure, than tabletop games. So, nah. Most people say D&D needs more endgame material anyway. Anyways, there you go. Haven't even played it yet, to be quite honest. Undercity is pretty fun. Like, when you look at the actual box of the game, like people complained about the box tiles because they're not very dynamic or whatever, but they work for setting up the actual game. And I really liked how you moved a bunch of characters just into one tile space. So they're just in a general area instead of being so hyper precise with where your character is in one square and if you're close enough to someone else. I really liked that it was just like communal groupings of squares, and they were just these large tiles. I really liked that aspect of the game a lot. And other than that, it's pretty fun. I guess you could make the tiles a little bit more interesting. I think there's some 3D models you can even print for them, because it'd be cool to have a little bit more of a, I guess, dynamic terrain in that regard. But yeah, game was super fun. Are you familiar with Green Stuff World's products? They keep coming out with more and more cool tools, textures, rollers, silicone molds, stamps, etc. I am not. I'm a pretty basic girl when it comes to painting, though, so I got what I need. Oh, man. Yes, War Budgies is all about that lore. We're going to have to help catch him up, Patrick. Working on the first of a pack of adorable goblins tonight. Love it. Hey, Khadoran Studio, welcome. Word GG, how did the old RPG differ from 5e setting? Which one feels better? Okay, so I had exactly one game in the new setting, and it was just as a player, and I had a blast. My experience with the earlier RPG, which is a D20 system, was as a GM, and I played like 23 hours of it. So I don't know that I have exactly a fair comparison. I think the world translated pretty well from what I could get so far. And that was really important because one of the things I really, really liked about the RPG from before was the dual class thing. Like, you were always 2 classes as a combination, and so you built your character from that. And so this is different in that, like, my Man-O-War was, or my Iron Fang was a Man-at-Arms character, and then there wasn't, like, there's certain investigative things like all the characters had that were built in, but it's done differently instead of just being like, I was an investigator and Man-at-Arms or something. So I will have to see how that, develops. Plus, I also haven't really played 5e, so this was also more of an introduction to me for 5e. So I feel like I have an ignorant standpoint on, like, how I really feel about that because it was too new, and so there's just a lot to take in, versus being more familiar with the earlier RPG and having played it so much and being the one developing the story and being the one scaling the mobs for it and all of that. So it still seems to maintain a similar level of the hyper-lethality of the IK RPG, where you can super murder things, and that's actually pretty fun, I think. So, I don't know. There's my milquetoast opinion on it either way. The visuals are phenomenal. I read this and that, but I live out in the middle of nowhere and I don't really have a grip for it. Undercity would actually translate really well to an online game. Austin, I'm running a D&D group in the Iron Kingdoms. Can't wait to get the official rules instead of making things up as I go. Fair enough. Not too much longer now. The train has a dragon anthank on it, and some of Legion fought that other dragon to try and grab it. Meanwhile, Signet generals were fighting both at the same time, spilling dragon blood everywhere. And dragon blood is horribly toxic and corrosive and corrupting. Hopefully this will tie with 50. Hopefully this tie with 5e will spark enough growth to inspire someone more Cody than I to work on a rule set for Fantasy Grounds. Maybe. I also heard that there's another D20 like tabletop system that brings sound and live actions in the environment games. Oh goodness, I don't know. I imagine you could probably have something like that with Tabletop Simulator. Like that system seems like it goes deep. Hey Daniel Miller, thanks for popping by. Take care, man. With all the dragon blight in that blood, the poor civilians underneath suffered the effects of blight on a massive level. I think she's actually trying to be louder than me. Go find something small and innocent to murder. That's what you do. Let's see. You see the void. Ah! Oh yeah, okay, so you saw my cat. And I think you can find the Dragonfather Torah card in one of the old 3.0 D&D Iron Kingdom supplements. Oh, really? Nice. Let's see, the ninja cat emoji doesn't work here. She's a Night Fury. Yeah, she looks totally like Toothless. It's adorable. Oh, nice Mac Attack. Evening all, looking good. I hate that the Kickstarter is ending at 11 p.m. West Coast tomorrow. What the heck were they thinking, ending it a day before most people's paydays? Well, they have like 2 weeks. Like, you can always buy into the Kickstarter, and they collect over like 2 weeks. It's not a huge deal. But hi, Jeremy. It's good to see you. Let's see. I still use Undercity Widower's Wood. Oh yeah, I haven't done the Widower's Wood tiles for my RPG games. The tiles are great to use as a base, just like Miranda says. It's what I use them for, and when I ran my games, it was great. Yeah. Undercity is definitely fun. It's a good, like half measure into jumping into the RPG side. So I have some deep reservations. I don't want to be negative because I love the support that the Kickstarter got, but I feel that 5e only has the illusion of choice, whereas the IK RPG proper had meaningful choices. So, and maybe that's the case, Patrick. Like, I could definitely see that being the case. It's just, that's probably worth the trade-off just to get enough people to actually see the world. Because again, most people will learn the one rule set, that's the thing they know, and they don't want to see a different one. At least enough of them don't that it's a big ask for people to know those rules, so it can be a little frustrating. All right, where's my dude? I need to get back to painting him. I said I would. I said I'd paint. I'm gonna do it. Still needs a lot of brown on him anyway. I also really need to get his base. I should do that. Good evening, Chuck Rogers. How are you? Welcome. And Thomas. Gonna hit 4 degrees here on Sunday in the desert. Gonna be nasty. Goodness. I think it's supposed to get cold here too. Thomas Grable, I'm all in here. Go the early bird. Yeah, that's what I got in on too. Work was busy, which makes the day go faster. Finished by painting some models. Well, that sounds pleasant. Let's see. Some more of that on there. Get some brown on his base, because I'm gonna have to do the base before he gets his cloak on. Otherwise, it's just not gonna work. We don't need that. So anyway, just me poking around here. Anytime you streamline an RPG, you're going to lose a lot of character options. I've come to loathe games with levels and classes in general, though. Ooh. So let me ask you guys a question, because it sounds like a lot of you are familiar with RPGs from like probably when you were kids, or you've grown up with them. Like you've always had a familiarity with them rather than just learning them in the last, 5-6 years when they became like really popular mainstream. Because there is a certain amount of magic you can lose when something hits mainstream. It's just sort of a trade-off nature of it. So are you guys happy that RPGs have become as popular as they have, knowing that that's the reason why you are dealing with all the so-called streamlining? Because to an extent I understand the notion of, well, this was my special thing that I did, and now too many people are involved and it's ruined it. Like, okay. And so there's that. But then there's also like, oh, but these people that I've never been able to get to play this game now are finally now interested. So, I mean, is the trade-off worth it in your minds? Because it's already happening, right? There's no choice in the matter. It's done. Calgar. Spell check error. Yes, you're right about what personal preferences float your boat. It's all perspectives. I agree. With me, either way is good as long as you get the fix with it. Has anyone here used a Dremel tool to drill out holes in, say, big Warhammer vehicle? Was it easy or error-prone compared to drilling manually? Well, I haven't done it. So, but as somebody who fancies power tools because they make my life easier, you've got to be very careful with power tools because you don't know when you are destroying the thing that you're touching if it's very delicate. So I'm sure it's nice and convenient if you've got everything lined up perfectly, but if you don't, then you're probably not going to be able to tell until it's too late. Whereas with a hand drill, you probably can. I'm glad I found this stream through Tabletop Minions. But it really makes me sad that War Machine isn't played around me anymore. I mean, there's a chance that the IKRPG honestly will bring back more players playing the tabletop game too, to be honest. I mean, I don't know that GW's like RPGs are as popular, I should say. Or popular is like their tabletop game, right? Like their tabletop game is sort of where people flock to. And their RPGs are, The problem is it's just not really a world you want to live in my view. I mean, I know a lot of people will play it, and they do keep coming out with them, but I don't know that they have the same love from the player base. Am I really wanting to bother painting all that? It doesn't even show up. It shows up. It shows up here. I need to paint just that much. Just there. I feel that way about most things becoming mainstream, and then you just get labeled as a gatekeeper. Well, yeah, then that's like an overreaction the other way, right? Like, you don't, like, it's fine. Like, people could totally be involved. It's just, you know, there's also something being hijacked is a different feeling. So, I hear you. I got blisters drilling manually. Ooh, fair enough. Robert, I'm glad it's more mainstream. Started playing D&D in 1979. So is it mostly because there's just, like, more people around you to play and talk to about it? Because, I mean, that's the other thing, right? Like, if more people are playing the game, even if the rule set isn't as much of what you care about, like, it still introduces people to, like, the lore or other games off of it. So I feel like that's useful, right? Let's see. I like how versatile 5e has become. Yes, it may be becoming vanilla, but that's just the logistics of it. I'm super happy that RPGs are popular now. Like I said, I don't want to sound negative because my first RPG was Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, but as a forever GM and having the opportunity to run games, I've picked faves. That's fair. And I think that's natural. I tried once, but opted for manual drill to avoid destroying my model. There you go. Hey friend, it's Chris from Death Ray Designs. Chris! Oh, I haven't seen you in so long. Good to see you. Oh man, I wonder if we'll ever get to see each other at a con again. But it's good to see you. Thanks for being here. Hope you're doing well. Joe, I started playing D&D in the late 70s with Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and D&D 5e feels more like Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, so love it. Streamlining equals good. Oh, nice. Okay. Appreciate that. I have not played Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and I've barely played 5e. Like, the whole RPG element I was super interested in when I was, like, 20. And then, you know, I just did, like, a bunch of tabletop, like, the war games and stuff, and that ended up taking up a lot of my time. So, like, coming back around to it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I do like this thing, but I just haven't really been involved in it. Let's see. Do you like playing RPGs with strangers at conventions or only with friends? Oh, I will play an RPG with anybody. In fact, when I was at Indie Storm last year, my friend Aaron had shown up, which was awesome. He came and visited. And so he played in this Cthulhu frontier setting of Cthulhu. It was super fun, but weird. And there were just these preset characters. So he picked one, I picked one, and then there was like 4 other people who just had these random preset characters too. And we had a blast because, you know, when you're just playing with strangers, you're just in your character, and so you can kind of be wacky or lean into it or whatever, because there's a certain amount of like, well, I'm only gonna see these people once, let's just have fun with it. You know, obviously don't be mean or anything. And, you know, sometimes you make some new friends that way, so I like it. Oh, let's see, Mac Attack. For me, classes and levels limit player choices. Why can't a sneaky git be good with a sword and know how to cast a fireball spell? Fair enough. Interesting. And I guess there's not really like a supplement to make that work. I hear you. I made the mistake of making a teacher Warcaster video. So now I teach a lot of Warcaster. Oh, goodness. Oh, teach Warcaster. Yeah, you had your, like, 5-minute video. You challenge yourself to it. Remember? Let's see. The Spaztech. I find the more popular a game becomes, the more watered down and boring they become, or they become hyper-competitive and horrible to keep up with. Player cause of the meta. Ooh, the dreaded meta. Like it goes one or the other? I don't know. I don't want to agree with that, so I have to think of like a counter. Because I mean, it's an interesting point. Certain amount of watering down. I also wonder, but when is something too complex and too esoteric, right? Like, you're not, like, I don't really feel like you're, you know, there's a whole lot of special because you know certain games so super well, right? And so, like, that those rules can get watered down isn't inherently bad to me. I don't like when stuff happens like, say, spell plagues or things where they reset the lore. I think that can be really frustrating, and I've heard the excuse used for it being, like, more inviting to new players because they all start at the same point, and I don't agree with that at all. Like, I don't think people are I mean, you can be intimidated by the Lord of the Rings and the Middle Earth and all of that stuff, but it's still something people dive into. Like, they're not going to reset Middle Earth because we need new people reading The Hobbit. It's fine. So, but rules, rules are just what they are. And then as a GM, you get to, bend or modify or have house rules and stuff. So I feel like you can get through a lot with that. So Miranda, would you want to keep playing your Khador fighter or set up someone new? I don't know. I'd probably want to try. I mean, I'd rather make my own character from start and have someone a little bit different. But I certainly had fun with little Michaela. Oh, dude, if I'm running D&D, it's going to be Cthulhu, low level, lethal, and telling the best story in as few sessions as possible. Yeah, it was a one-shot and we all died, but it was hilarious. Well, I just wanted to pop in and say hey, good seeing you, even if it's like this. Hope to see you at a con soonish. Thanks, Chris. Take care, man. 535,000. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, yeah, they're doing great. Too complicated. Rollmaster. I haven't even played that. I think a lot of people are overthinking it. You can adjust the volume to any game system to suit your needs and what you want in it. Well, and the players are going to be different each time, right? Like if you're going to have an actual campaign and you have 4 or 5 or more people together, like I imagine you kind of tailor the experience to what their tolerance is or what their taste is as well, which is the trick, right? Like of being a good GM. Oh, I'm 100% intimidated by War Machine lore, but I love diving into that kind of thing. It's ever been my experience that a setting works best in its native system. Being accessible for new blood is good, but it won't feel the same to the experienced players. Okay. I mean, it definitely won't feel the same. But I wonder if the experienced players will be able to come up, hear me out, like maybe with a good way of making it work. Because, group think and getting like a whole bunch of especially gamers together, they're hella problem solvers. Like I feel like there will be some sort of supplement that comes out that says if you really want to play it like this, here's this module or here's this thing. But I don't know, maybe not. If they had a Dust RPG, would you play that? Well, Cthulhu exists in that world too, so I feel like you could really do a mashup of an RPG to create Dust and just have fun with that. Maybe? Like, so much of Dust is like this really cool aesthetic. So really, I would think Dust would make something like an amazing video game or an amazing, I mean, they obviously have really beautiful models. So as far as an RPG, maybe? The stories are so, like, from what I've read anyway, because I'll read like the scenario for the given, like the basic scenario book for setting stuff up. And it's just, they're all missions more than like, here's the main overall story. I just don't know what the overall story is, so I'd give it a go. But I don't know if that's where its strength really lies. Budgie's lore is so good. I would go all in and get another opportunity to listen to Doug Seacat. If I could get another opportunity to listen to Doug Seacat talk lore on stream again, yeah, those streams are priceless. Did you ever see the Deathjack painted? You may have not followed on Insta, but I did nuke it recently. Yeah, no, Paul did a good one. He doesn't even play War Machine, but he bought Deathjack because he's such a cool model. Could definitely make it a Riot Quest 5e game, but isn't Riot Quest like an arena game? Probably Pulp Cthulhu would work. Yeah, exactly. Kitty says hello. Hi, Kitty. Hope you guys are doing fine, staying warm up there. I gave up on Drizzt after more than a dozen books because of the 4th edition lore reset. See, and I feel like that's not kind to do to your audience either. And so I don't want to see any like, I'm always terrified of like a lore reset because it's like, no, I've read so many books and the lore is so interesting. Leave it. If you like Cthulhu, maybe I should run Delta Green for you sometime. It's Cthulhu but set in modern times. So I always thought like Albuquerque would be a really interesting place to have like a Cthulhu setting, just because we are such a... So, you know, Albuquerque, New Mexico, obviously we're like the arid desert, but once upon a time was a seabed. Could feel like Cthulhu could have settled here. And, you know, enough strange things happen in Albuquerque on a fairly regular basis that it seems to me like you could blame Cthulhu for it. I mean, we did invent the Slender Man here, and an unfortunate number of real-life crimes, but just saying. You're right about challenging players. That's why Gary Gygax made the Tomb of Horrors. Total player kills. No, I don't like player kills. Well, I mean, again, it depends on your audience. I would hate to do that to my players. Like, you spend so much time investing, but one-shots are a little different. Like DM Scotty, when he was at Valhalla in 2019, he made these delightful and really fun one-shots that were hyper fatal. So, yeah, I mean, your player investment sort of matters there. I don't need this brush, I need a bigger brush. Been catching up on some old Doug lore videos. They're really good, they are. My daughter stopped screaming, yay! Yay! I'm glad she's no longer screaming. Goodness. And now our brother is awake. Twins are hell. Well, you know. Yeah, I got nothing. I was gonna say, like, maybe they grow out of it, or, you know, double the fun later. But I'm not really good with twins jokes, so, you simply get my condolences. It'll get better eventually, probably, maybe. You'll be fine. Do the Requiem rules, but in the Riot Quest timeline. There's probably a lot of Albuquerque jokes to be made there. Mm-hmm. The old faction war books, expansion books for Warma Hordes had some of the best fiction I've read in forever. I was so upset when they relaunched with 3rd edition and didn't include any lore. Really, Jeremy? I don't know, man. That's usually where people made fun of the lore. But, like, you do get to advance more on the story and see what each of the main characters are doing, right, in the soapbox. All the Sorcia stuff I could have done without. Like, not all of it, but, man, that Vlad story. Now, Vlad on his own is fine. Like, when he's captured and Drago's, like, raging as he's tied up because he's like this autonomous warjack that probably has the soul of one of his ancestors in it. Like, that's the lore that you read and you're like, oh my god, this world is so cool. So I'm hoping for maybe like a compendium or something where they do kind of come back with all of that lore and sort of centralize it, because I know I've been asked multiple times by people where they can find a lot of the backstory lore, and it really is like, go track down the old rule books, unfortunately. And even then, go back further and find, like, Mark 1 stuff. Well, looks like you've dropped into the Twilight Zone. Call of Cthulhu as a module in New Mexico. It's the secret of Castronegro. Castronegro? Okay, well, there you go. Yeah. Mexico is the land of enchantment. The name alone lends itself to weirdness. It does. The local custom is to say that it's the land of enchantment. That's only if you grew up here. Real-life crimes, like sending your cat off to murder small things. She does that on her own, thank you very much. She goes in and out of the house, so and she's a bully. I mean, I don't know what to say. She's a small cat, and she likes to kill things smaller than her, and they always end up being, like, small babies of other animals. And I don't know. I think she might be growing out of it. There's nothing enchanting about Hell, New Mexico. Dying in a con one-shot can be part of the fun. Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's like, you know, you're just joshing with a bunch of people around you and having a good time, and you know, not having a deep-seated survival instinct for a character is probably fine in a one-shot. Agreed. Requiem with Weird Wendell and his gremlins. Yeah, you could do something like that out here. I tweaked death rules, so I killed off my player's session 1 to demonstrate those rules, and so to introduce the BBEG. Okay. Someone on my starting War Machine video recommended the old command books for lore. Found the Protectorate one, and it's really good. Yeah, there's a lot of, it's sort of like a lot of political intrigue that happens in the Protectorate and Menoth stuff, because, like, Fiora's pulling stuff, and, mostly her, but, you know, Krios is kind of like this really big, intimidating Khadoran character, and, but there are some books out you can get, too. Gosh, what is the name of it? The one with Anson Durst, because he's a paladin of the wall, and I enjoyed his story. And I like that, I mean, again, when you compare, like, GW stuff to War Machine, like, or any of the IKRPG stuff, like, not everybody in the world is just this horrible, awful person, which I feel like everyone in the GW world is. Like, I'm sure there's some. I haven't finished reading a lot of the lore for GW, and I think you get a lot out of the Imperial Guard, but, man, people seem cold in that world. Well, maybe if we had an RPG for Saw, oh goodness. D6 Star Wars will always be my favorite. So simple and fun. Well, so there you go, right? There's like this huge lore that it sits on top of, and so there's these simple rules, but it doesn't stop the players from being able to really enjoy their characters. And so that's what I'm hoping for with the IKRPG, right? Because it has a rich enough lore. Like, you can definitely do that. If people are interested in learning enough about it and exploring that world, then the system really shouldn't matter. Let's see, a mummy Jack the Ripper could emerge in New Mexico desert, and people would say, well, it's New Mexico. No, people out here make a point to tell you how unimpressed they are with you. It's just a thing here. Well, I think I mentioned it before, but I was at a Joanne Fabrics a couple of years ago. And, you know, there's movies and stuff that get made out here in Albuquerque. We have Netflix studios and stuff. And I guess Ray Romano had been in town, and so this lady who was cutting my fabric was telling me the story about how she met Ray Romano. And it was at, I don't know, somewhere, they were hanging out on the sidewalk, like, it must have been after a shoot or something. And he had asked directions for something, and she just sort of, like, casually gave him some information. And I guess somehow it had come up where he was like, oh, do you like, recognize me or know who I am or whatever? And she's like, yeah, but you're in New Mexico, and no one cares. I'm just like, on the one hand, I appreciate the honesty, but on the other, man, never comes off very nice. There isn't a wiki with all the Iron Kingdom's lore or with all the original lore? Not all the original lore, no. There's a lot of, like, Battle College, and there's a lot of Wikipedias with some general information, but you're not going to get, like, all the original lore anywhere. You really do have to find, like, those old books. One of my favorite stories is the trencher who hangs out with the gobbers to play cards, but he doesn't have money to gamble, so he offers his trenching spade. The gobbers then tell him he could never meet the bet because the shovel had too much story or luck imbued into it and was worth too much. Goodness. Yeah, gobbers are fun. Play Paranoia. You will die many times and still have a blast. I also started an audiobook called Rites of Passage. A lot of early Warcaster characters. I think I had that one in ebook format. Mordheim. Everyone is sweetness and light. Right. What's weird considering how long Iron Kingdoms has been around? I know, but it's sort of like a best kept secret or something. Definitely no love in 40k. I know, right? I just don't think there's been as much of an effort to digitize it as GW. So, urban legend is a thing? Yes? I know what you're saying. We need metal. Aha! Time to bring out the stale. Urgh. Man, 535,000. That's awesome. That's really good. Oh dear. I'm doing this again. That's how you take care of your paints right there. By slathering it all over yourself. Tee. Alright, well, that'll work. Just paint out of the lid. Paint out of the lid is fine. Let's get some metal on here. I'm gonna get something more than just the base coat maybe in the next 30 minutes. I don't know, guys. honestly, it's just nice to kind of be back and painting a little bit anyway. I had a lot of fun playing the RPG. It was a blast, and I got to really have a lot of fun with my character, and bouncing off of my friends, of course, made that even more fun. But this is oddly centering. Like, 2020 has definitely given me a deeper appreciation for painting my models. So, that's that. Let's see, this axe has lots of metal on it. So, I wonder if we can sneak some of the blue into the axe, because it's the lowest layer. Maybe we should do that first. Also, this means I interpret free license to fan fiction the death check out of my new army. I have like every book from the original D20 RPG, 1st edition, 2nd edition, and IK RPG digitally. There's so much good lore in them. I've read 2 of their novels, and they're also good. No, I've read a lot of their novels. Way of Cain was really, really good. I liked that one. Of course, Blood of Kings is one that a lot of people really enjoyed, and it moves the story forward. I enjoyed Wicked Ways. It's an anthology, but you get a lot out of it. So I also would recommend that. Yeah, there's a lot of, like, the books are not badly written at all. Like, they're just under noticed, I guess. Maybe there's just a marketing problem, but I bought a bunch of the books. I think they were doing them through Skull Island Expeditions, but when I did it, I bought a bunch of the ebooks through their website and just loaded up all the ebooks and just started reading those on my little e-reader thingy bopper. And I got through a lot, because whenever I was doing the show for the IKRPG, like, I wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about. And so a lot of it was like older stuff, but I ended up putting it together a whole timeline of where everything fit, because that was a little bit hard to tell. Some of the story points could be vague. So we got around it. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna get some pretty blue on here. Probably not gonna get his face painted tonight, but that's okay. Do War Machine players actually read the fluff? They barely build, much less paint their models. No, unfortunately, there was a whole rather bit of pride about the fact that they didn't read the lore for a long time. At least a lot of the people I met seemed to be perfectly proud of the fact that they did not read the lore. And, I don't know. It was their choice. So, no, I don't know if most players now, like, probably most players now. I think that a lot of the people backing the IKRPG are not the competitive players of War Machine, if I were to guess. Which is one of the big disconnects, you know? Because I think a lot of the people who play, like, the GW RPGs do play the game and really just guzzle the lore, you know? And for whatever reason, there's been a disconnect. So maybe this will help shore that up a bit, because they should. Like, just playing the War Machine game because you just love the rules so much is, I guess, fine, but I don't know if it's, like, the most healthy for the game. So there's a fallacy of consistency problem there. He's holding his axe differently. This makes it a little difficult. Oh well. Let's see, tentative any plans for Valhalla this year? Yeah, I'm trying to get them sorted. And that's one of my many projects this month. I just got hammered with a bunch of other old business from 2020, so I'm still working through that. But yes, tentative plans for around the same time this year, and, you know, we'll keep the event small again, just to make sure everything's fine, and then, yeah, play lots and lots of amazing games and relax. Oh, relax. Yes, many of my fellow War Machine players do field armies of bare metal and plastic. I adhere to the read the lore, but I'm hardly an expert on it. Oh, fair enough. Oh, I adhere to play it painted. I'm going back to the $50 digital IKRPG. I'll most likely never play it over here, but I want it. Well, you know, Paul, these games are a little easier to translate to a digital medium. Potentially, someday, maybe. Well, that's true. I used to live in an old haunted house and didn't even know about it until I hear voices in the building where there was no one there. I always wondered, is that a selling point on a house? If it's haunted? Like, could you advertise that it's haunted? Does that make the sale price go up? Like, in my mind it does, but I know I'm not normal. The Hooligan Bear. My biggest issue with Privateer Press doing Iron Kingdoms in D&D 5e is that it's not to them, oh, when the D&D edition changes. Well, don't they have to re-up, like, all of the... Wouldn't they have to choose? Wouldn't they get the choice, I should say, to go to the next edition, or like adapt or not, or do another spin-off at that point if the edition does change? So I did a video a while back asking what got people inspired about War Machine Hordes, and there was a surprising amount of people who were just in it for the rule set. It's a different audience. Alright folks, it's been an absolute pleasure to hang out with you, but I'm so glad we could catch up this week. Please be safe, and hope to catch you in 2 weeks actually, Patrick. But you have a great night, stay warm. Tell Kitty I said hi and I miss you guys. James. That's true, but it's not like the old versions of D&D don't exist anymore. You can still play any of the editions if you have players in the rules. And the other thing is, again, people have all learned the D&D 5th edition rule set, right? So theoretically now a bunch of people already know it and might still stick with it, even if the edition changes. Maybe. Actually, I was lucky to have a community that knew the IK lore and skirmish battles as well, so that's a big plus. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Gotta make a haunted house bed and breakfast. It was a big thing in Louisiana. I can see that. In Japan, haunted properties are discounted. Yeah, I remember watching The Grudge. Also, on that same video, I had people send me links to some Wargamer Girl channel. Weird. It's funny. Alright. I swear I'm painting this model somewhat. I need to just do like a time lapse of me actually painting something from start to finish. I'd feel so much better about myself. Be like, oh my god, look at me making progress. This is so exciting. Yeah. Actually, let's go ahead and get some sweet blue in here. This looks awesome and I'm excited. So if you look at the axe on this, there is this awesome blue going on in, you know, multiple parts, right? He's got these vials on his belt that have the blue also, but the axe, it's all imbued with this like arcane energy. So let's add that. That looks fun. Let's see what I've got here. Signar bright blue highlight. Signar blue base. Well, I want a lighter blue. So that's a pretty light blue I think I've got here. And then I've got a frostbite, which I think I would use as more of a base, because look how, well, let's mix it up actually. Yeah, it's really light. So that's the that's the thing there. I first got the original Monsternomicon with artwork from by Brian Snoddy of L5R fame. That's what hooked me. The L5R artwork is actually really beautiful. Oh, I haven't even opened this one. I'm really glad that we moved on from 3rd edition days of RPGs. I found that most 3rd edition players were hardcore min-maxers and only liked the game for the exploitable mechanics. And you're always gonna have that. Like, there's always that player. It's definitely common enough. And I don't think they should be like scorned or anything. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with doing that. You do have to not let it dominate the game, just like somebody wanting to necessarily like drag the party off onto side quests shouldn't be allowed to constantly happen either. So, like, I do have some sympathy for the min-maxers just because I feel like a lot of people really hate them, and I feel the frustration with them, but at the same time it's like, but that's how you want to play, and you should be able to play the game the way you want to play. So I hope that they get to do that. Light blue white edge highlight. That's right. I'm going to try. So in the original Monsternomicon from D20, the Deathjack isn't really associated with Crix. Instead, it is created using the Librum Mechanicus and Orgoth rights to create it. Oh, interesting. Because what you read about him now is like they don't know where he's come from. He's always existed. Like even if he's destroyed, he just sort of remanifests. Let's see, you can put Signar Blue on Khadoran models. They're inferior. Well, we're just putting it on the axe. And the axe is a tool of the Khadorans, just like the Signarans. Any progress setting up that Discord server? No. No, but I have not owned my life for a little while, so that's kind of a back burner item for the moment, I'm afraid. Yes, the Crix did not make Deathjack, only attempted to copy him with their Helljacks. But you're right, I heard otherwise too. See, the models and the setting drew me to the Iron Kingdoms. I've collected some of the models, but I'm a terrible person because they sit on a pile of shame. I'm trying to get back to the hobby. You know, if you get around to it at any point, it really is fine. Like, there's no shame in that. Like, we all have lives and obligations and you know, those things. Though when things open back up, I'll be skating uphill to build a player base. It's the only 40k near me currently. Only scorn players. Lols. Let's see, I had a problem player some time ago. When the campaign ended, I didn't reinvite them. But I was sad because their partner was a really cool player and they were a package deal. Yeah, and that's just some of that interpersonal communication stuff that we all struggle with at some point. Because the thing you've got to remember from just like a human standpoint is a lot of these games are attractive to people who are maybe otherwise not super successful in social situations. And so, like again, I don't know if I've mentioned it on my stream before, but I don't know if any of you guys have seen the movie Zero Charisma. Like, the guy's a jerk, but man, you do feel for him. Like, I know these people. Like, I've met this person whose life is like this, and it's really hard, and that's kind of part of what shaped him, even though he's like intolerable to other people because he can't not. And oh yeah, that is freaking beautiful right there. I'll focus in a second. This is a big enough model to actually do that. Oof, it's so pretty. This is perfect color. So, but, you know, as a GM or as a group of people, you've got to balance what your own tolerances are too. But it's really hard for me not to have, like, probably an unreasonable amount of sympathy for the people who've been rejected. Had had 3 brothers and dealt with lots of socially awkward moments where people are not very nice, and I hate that. It makes me sad. So it's like, but how do you improve it, right? How do you meet halfway? So, question, do Khador have artillery guns? Yes. I saw someone with some howitzers painted. So, they do have artillery. They actually have, they're one of the only factions that present to have arcing fire. So, they're essentially mortars, is what they shoot. Mortars and cannons. And they're really fun. They're horribly inaccurate, which make them hilarious to use. But they can be quite effective as well. In fact, the, not Victor, Conquest. The Conquest Warjack, the big Warjack, the Colossal, was his gun, or one of his side guns, I think, on the side have the arcing fire rule. So yes, they do have artillery. Crucible Guard also, I believe, have artillery. I haven't really played Crucible Guard, but that's kind of their jam. And I think dropping bombs, if you read the lore there. Alright, look at all that magic oozing out of this axe. It's crazy. Do you remember what I did to Butcher's battle axe? Just do that. Paint dark blue, wash it in medium blue. Oh, just do that, then highlight with light blue. Then use a gloss varnish to seal the deal. That's like 5 more steps than I'm going to take. Are you really telling me this? Bloat thralls have arcing fire, and yes, they're not very accurate either. Yeah, if you're doing arcing fire, I believe the rule is you have -4 to your accuracy, which is appropriate. I mean, there's a certain amount of range finding you can do, but given the era or the setting, you're not going to do too much. Oh, now for the complicated part. Let's poke this in here and hope that I'm doing okay. Getting enough light. 15 minutes. At least I'll have a pretty axe by the end of it. Other than just brown and metal. Well, you should never want to see one. It will suck your soul to hell. Monsters from the original Monsternomicon. That better be in the new one. Oh, really? Or what? What are you gonna do, Jeremy? I can give you some new stuff. It's fine. I want to see more spooky models. One of my okay, so this was D&D 4. That was like the last time I GM'd outside of the IKRPG. I did a one-shot haunted house thing, and they had their spooky nomicon of just their undead and, you know, spooky things. I freaking loved that book. I thought the D&D 4th edition Monsternomicon, it was like Grave something. It was freaking amazing. I took so many models from that. There was one that was like just loose skin that mimicked things. Like I think it stole the skin off its victims and moved around that way. Oh, so cool. Did a lot of fun ghost stuff. I actually designed a, because this is how I roll, I designed basically a Resident Evil style haunted house with little crests and stuff that you need to get to the next room and riddles and stuff. I had so little combat. Like I think they fought a beholder at the end and that was it. But mostly it was puzzles. I took puzzles from like Silent Hill. That was pretty magical. I really enjoyed doing that. I don't know what the group thought. In my mind, they all loved it. I'm just gonna stick with that and assume as much. There's blue here too. Alright, so blue, and then you bloom it out. Sure, how hard can that be? That was messy. Probably gonna have to reapply the blue because that is a high point. That's okay. Axe of coolness, looking great. I was mostly curious for lore reasons. Not a fan of Warhammer Horde's overall aesthetic. Too World of Warcraft for me. Well, that might inform some of my taste a little bit, because I freaking love World of Warcraft's lore. Or, no, their lore is meh, but their aesthetic is great. I love the whole look of World of Warcraft, so perhaps there is a bias there. Don't know if I would agree with that. It looked too World of Warcrafty, though. Because, like, the scene that people are describing in the chat with, like, the dragon firing on the train, I don't think that looks like World of Warcraft at all. That looks totally different. Their approach to dragons, of course, is very different. And I know we're talking about lore stuff now, but aesthetic-wise, like, there's some steampunk in World of Warcraft, but not that much. Like, you get it from the goblins. So I'm just going to use this nice wide brush to smack my camera. Come look at my lap, apparently. Hello, off subject. How was the 5th edition War Machine RPG? It was quite fun in the short time that I got to experience it. My character got to do the things I wanted it to do. She was set at level 3. So whatever choices were available at that point happened. I was able to protect my friends, even when they were busy lighting me on fire or pretending they were, you know, miss throwing grenades filled with acid on me. But no, it was good. There we go. That's looking really pretty. Oh, that cuts in so well. Pauldrons for days, dude, right? Have you seen Hellraiser? I did. I actually saw it not that long ago. Do you batch paint ever? I have. So when I've had like my my dudes, my winter guard, I batch painted them. But that's because it's infantry, right? Like you sort of have I took a different approach with it and just did the batch painting that way, and it worked out fine. But like you can't do that when you have sort of these one-off models or I don't know that it works well for warjacks in my case, or obviously not warcasters because they're special models. But yes, I have. Back to the 5th edition thing. Yes, I think I enjoyed it. I don't know enough about the limitations of 5e to really give a good like compare and contrast. Like again, my character had fun and was able to do a bunch of stuff, and I thought that was great. We handled our situation quite well and destroyed everything that was thrown at us. And it's not like the GM was giving us a pass or an easy game either. So, you know, I felt like as a player, I was, you know, we were all very capable, which is nice. It's nice not to feel like a basic house cat will kill you or something, which I believe harkens back to some of the older D&D rule styles. Good thing you had pants on. Yes. And see, the shoulder armor for some models is where I'll agree with looking like WoW for sure. That's a fair point. Okay, you do get that. Yeah, the shoulder pads are quite wild in the IK world, in the world of War Machine. To be so ginger on my painting to not fill in these recesses. Oh, this is so much work. Oh. I liked how Travis ran the dredges. He did a great job with, I mean, he did a really good job as a GM for it anyway, so. But yes, he did a great job with the dredges and describing how they were reacting to being hit. Because again, it's like you want to explain what these creatures are to people who aren't familiar with that world, and he did a great job with that. Explaining the cephalix, what was he, like a cephalix slaver, I think, something like that. Like, he did a really good job explaining that too. So yeah, no, Travis was on it. He knew what he was doing. I'm gonna have to get more blue in there. Oh, interesting. Man, I'm really, really enjoying this axe work here. And yes, I know I have to add some more stuff, but we're getting there. The oversized weapons too, I think. Yeah, like as opposed to proper D&D or like Pathfinder or something. Could see that. Jeremy, monsters from the original Monsternomicon that better be in the new one. LOL. The Dracodile, well, we know that's in there. Dreg, Pharaoh, Gatorman, Gorax, Iron Maiden, Scorn, Tatzelworm. Tatzelworm's definitely in there. Tharn, Thornwood Mauler, Totem Hunter, and Troll. I think you are likely to at least get 90% of your wish there. I'm trying to remember, because in the Monsternomicon I was playing with, there were some spookier things in there too, and they were like old, like Orgoth related stuff. And I'm really curious how they're going to handle, like, how all of this post-infernal stuff is supposed to really come off. I don't know. Everyone, well, enough about me. Let's talk about the paint projects. This guy's making some progress. I don't know. There was a lot of samurais happening, getting painted. There's a lot of other things getting painted. Some Undercity, I hear. So hopefully you guys are making some good progress. I've decided to just always be at least reasonably content with my progress here, because it is fun, mostly just getting to hang out. And this gives me a thing to focus on doing, which I appreciate. And you guys are really good, like a lot of you guys in here are really good at painting, so I learn stuff from you and try things. And sometimes don't because it's intimidating, but you know, I'm growing slowly. Slowly we're getting there. Alright, so that's some metal there. Nice, beautiful metal axe. Ooh, I love the way that looks. That's so pretty. So I'll have to go in with a dry brush, I think, with that frostbite to add some of that. Building some ghosties. Ah! Will you be using any arcane blue on your axe? Hold that thought. Let me see what I have, because I don't think I have that color. Let's see here. So I've got Signar Blue Highlight, which is what I used in the axe. Like, that's just the color in there. Then I've got this regular base blue, which was too dark, so I didn't do anything with that. Then I've got this frostbite color. That's probably what I'm going to use to dry brush over the blue on the axe and just sort of do it where it looks like it's frosting out over the metal of the axe a bit. That's the idea. So hopefully that works. GW is going nuts with the giant centerpiece models. That new Slanesh chariot is huge. Well, even the Silent King, like they're coming out with some crazy monster models. Biggest problem with sub-assembly painting is being careful not to paint where the parts need to be glued. Glue sticks to paint, paint pops off that model. True fact, good sir. In fact, like here's one of the metal bits for where the cape will stick, and so that's gotten scraped and scored to help ensure an appropriate fit. As for the rest of it, it's probably just gonna have to kind of hold on as best as possible. Now, the nice thing is this legitimately just fits on him and over him, so it's not bad. Khadoran using Signar paints spits up only on the tool part. Everyone, oddly enough, I'm always interested in the macabre, like Grimkin, Skaven, Nurgle, Nightblights, etc. Anything to do with death. I think I may be possessed. So, whenever I was looking at maybe trying out some more of like, oh gosh, what was it? Shadespire, the Underworlds, Warhammer Underworlds. Like, the whole Legion, Alliance of Death stuff looked beautiful. Like, all of those ghosts and the night haunts looked so, so pretty. And so, so fiddly. And so I'm like, I'll leave them over there. But they are so, so pretty. So I really, like, I see some of the fascination with it. Otherwise, I'm sort of like, I like my rank and file troops. I've just remembered I need to start painting, oh my god, my birthday mini soon. Guess I better start working on your birthday mini, like now. Maybe it'll actually go out in time. Let's see, it does look good. Why are you limiting yourself to P3 paints for this project? Did I miss something? Because they are the paints in front of me at the moment. They didn't give you any arcane blue. Damn savages! I'm sure they just found what was around, and then I'm just using what's around. I think we've realized and established by now in my painting stream that I am pretty casual in my approach to painting. Spending way too long on one model is discouraging. It can be. I mean, it depends on if it's like being arduous or if it's fun to paint. Like, it can go either way on that. Actually, my first War Machine Hordes model were Signar, but means greater than army dedication. It's not Signar paints if it's in Khadoran hands. There you go, just like those Cortexes. Have you seen the new Warhammer Quest box with the Undead City theme? I have not. I've been so out of the gaming loop, like, been out of many loops. I've legitimately stopped watching the news, and then I've like just been focusing on like some of my personal projects and going to work and then dealing with like all of my mom's estate stuff and all that stuff. So it's just like I've been very tunnel visioned in my little world. So I feel like I'm safe there for now. All right, let's try some of this dry brush stuff. Apple Barrel feels hurt by these comments. I have some Apple Barrel here. I painted my metal on with like the folk art, and then I've still got my lovely Anita's Khador Red because this legitimately is what all of my army's painted in, so I have to use it. My Khador are blue, a nice Prussian blue, not basic Signar blue. Psh, yeah, don't need this basics of Signar and I don't know what I'm saying. I don't want to ruin my pretty axe. All right, let's do this. Oh, we've only got 1 minute left in stream. See, I've been totally distracted. I'm sorry, guys. Almost there. Let's see if this is doing what I want. Ooh, I don't know if this is having the effect I want. I'll have to go a little heavier with it, and I might have to find a smaller brush to dry brush with, maybe? I don't know, sorry. Keep hitting my camera, because I don't know. I don't know if this is giving me the effect I want. You can see it like right there. Kind of put some of it on. I really like that deep blue and I want it to come out. I'm gonna have to mess with this. I'll come back to this. 2 more hours. Christian, I appreciate it, but I think I will fall asleep on stream if that happens. I have not gotten good sleep this week because I tend to mortgage my time. Yes, AOS game, if you like Undead. They have 4 factions of the Undead. Yeah, and I really, really liked the Night Haunts. Like, they're so beautiful. But the Sepulchral Guard were also really beautiful. They did such a great job with skulls. Like, where you look at a lot of these minis and you see such beautiful work in, like, runes and details and filigree and fur and all of this. Like, GW knows skulls and bones. However, again, Bloody Barnabas, gorgeous model. I'm so glad I own that. What is the cyan colored disc thing on the table? Well, I thought I might use it for mixing paints, but it's legitimately just the silicone thing that apparently was used for holding super glue. I have not used it for that purpose, but it came from Privateer Press, and they gave it to me as a gift, and so I've been trying to figure out how to try it, and then as usual, I just do the thing I only know how to do, so. I mean, I'm just painting so long as something's on. Oh, no, you're not, there is no bargain there. All Sierra Bone Reapers are awesome, even if I suck with them in Warcry. Yeah, see, and I couldn't quite get into Warcry. Let's see, I have twins who have spent every night for the last week waking up multiple times. Your sleep patterns have nothing on mine. No, they do not. In fact, you have my sympathies for sure. But on that note, I am going to end the stream here. So here's the progress on my duder. Base coats, and then I really got tunnel visioned with the axe, and it's so pretty. And then of course we just yammered on about like the Iron Kingdoms RPG, which is the last time we'll really be able to do that on this stream while the Kickstarter's live, so you know, just saying. Alright, well you guys all take care, and we'll catch you probably in a couple of weeks, and I'll figure out something cool and new to work on for you guys. You have a great night.